Hey everybody, so I think I am finally ready to basically start this series on relationships. And, I've been going back and forth as to how I kind of want to start the series and so forth. And I think I decided that I'm going to start with kind of just talking about the differences, or what I think are the differences between something healthy and something not healthy. Um, all of us deal with all different types of relationships, whether it be someone that you're in a loving relationship with, someone that your lover, your spouse. There's friendship, there's work relationship, acquaintance, family. There's a very long list of options as far as relationships go. The type of relationship that I want this series to focus on is more of a boyfriend, girlfriend, spousal type relationship. Um, I want to first start off by saying that I think most people get in relationships when they are not ready. I think that most people get in relationships because they're settling, they are scared to be alone, um, basically for the wrong reasons. I think people jump into relationships because they're either really attracted to somebody, and so they jump in and think it's going to be great, and it just doesn't end up being that way. But there's lots of things that fall under the categories of healthy and unhealthy to me. I saw part of the reason why decided to do this post today is because I had a couple of things over the last couple of days that kind of hit me, and kind of caught me off guard a little bit, and it made me feel as if I should go ahead and start this. Um, as I said previously, when I talked about wanting to start this series, I have a couple of friends actually that are currently dealing with some pretty unhealthy situations. I just got out of an unhealthy situation. And then I have lots of other friends who I know are in unhealthy situations, but maybe that we don't talk about them just on a regular basis. Um, in regards to a healthy relationship, I think it's pretty easy to talk about what people would consider a healthy relationship. For me, and for I think most people, it breaks it down pretty simple. It's respect, it's trust, it's honesty, support, fairness, equality, um, still getting to be your own person, good communication, playfulness, going on dates, things that really show the person that you love them, but also being separate at the same time. And I think that that's the part that people forget. And, a lot of people, this post that I saw, this girl basically was asking if anyone thought it was normal to basically feel like she couldn't go out with her girlfriends because her boyfriend has an issue with it and makes a big deal about it and starts a fight and an argument, and that he's going to leave her if she goes out with her friends. Um, that's not really how that works. However, that is something, and I'm not saying that people can't change and people can't switch it up on you, but people are rushing into relationships very quickly. And that's something that if you would have given a little bit of time to figure out, you could potentially not be running into these issues now. Um, he In regards to that statement this girl made, you can clearly tell from what she was saying that he is definitely a narcissist, and he has been a narcissist. So these red flags probably popped up very early on, probably before they even had children. And now she's in this unfortunate situation where she feels controlled and like she has to walk on eggshells in her own home. And that is absolutely unacceptable. Um, as easy as it is to spat off the things that I think most people consider a healthy relationship, it is pretty cut and dry as to what people consider unhealthy relationships. The problem with the part of unhealthy relationships, though, is people give excuses for things that are unhealthy. If you have been invested in a relationship for a long time, or you think you love that person, or you have a child with them, or whatever your reasons where you feel like you have to fight for that relationship, a lot of times there are unhealthy pieces. There are things that you can overlook, there are things that you can tolerate, there are things that you can choose to live with. But everybody deserves to be happy. And ultimately, depending on what is on your list of unhealthy or toxic or however you want to label it, you need to think about that, because some of the things that fall under the unhealthy relationship standard are things that you should not be tolerating, even if you think you can. Things that you should not be making excuses for, even if you are. And I think most people have friends and family that probably point this out, but when you are so in love or think you're in love and so invested in a situation, that sometimes it's hard to separate that. Like, for example, cheating. Cheating is not something that should be tolerated. I had an interesting experience earlier today. A really good friend of mine needed some advice, and basically this guy has been flirting with her, and then she ended up finding out that he was married, and he's still reaching out to her and wanting to hang out. And she asked me if I thought that she should, and I told her no. And her response to me was that I was the only person who told her no. And to me, that kind of took me back, and it kind of makes me realize where we are at in a society, that people do not view relationships as something healthy. And what they do label as healthy really is not healthy. Cheating is not okay. Now, if you decide that you want to be two single people and have like an open relationship, then you do whatever you want to do. But if you are asking someone to be your girlfriend, your wife, your boyfriend, your husband, whatever the case is, that is asking to be in a monogamous relationship with that person. I know this might be a little bit extreme of an analogy, but if you have children, just because you see a cuter child at the park doesn't mean that you then get to also take that child home. It's not how that works. And it's the same thing with relationships. Not to say that someone is their property, but if you're my husband, you shouldn't be sleeping with anybody else. You shouldn't be even communicating with anybody else that is more than a friendship. Now, I am a firm believer that I think that you need to have friends and you need to have family and you need to have your time separate from your girlfriend, boyfriend, or spouse. That time away is very important. You need to have some time to miss each other. But that's where the respect and communication and trust and honesty all comes into play. Everyone is their own person. Everyone has the right to a healthy, successful relationship. The problem is we have confused what is healthy and what is correct versus what is toxic. And a lot more people are starting to accept toxic pieces of relationships, and it will ultimately kill us as a society. I'm not even saying that you have to be pro-marriage. That is not what I'm saying either. A healthy relationship does not translate to marriage. A healthy relationship is all of those things that I said, and then however you want to translate those is fine. If you don't want to get married, that's fine. I'm not Bible thumping by any means. This has nothing to do with God and what God has said that we need to do as far as relationships and marriage and so forth goes. This has nothing to do with that. Now, if you are Christian and you are following the Bible, then really there's no argument for you in regards to what is healthy and what is unhealthy in God's eyes, because most people claim to be Christian, but how many people do you know that actually abide by Christian rule, law, word in regards to relationships? I'll wait, because I do not know one. I don't know a single person who has waited till marriage. Not one. And that's a big thing, apparently, I mean, like, come on. I mean, everyone obviously has their own variation and their own belief system and how they want to approach relationships and life as a whole. But what we can set in place is have standards for that, regardless of which route you would like to take in relationships. And that is having a healthy one. And a healthy one is very easy to talk about. I already basically gave you guys the list of of what to base it on. You have to have communication. You have to have respect. You have to have trust. You have to have honesty. You have to be able to support each other. Let's talk about support really quick. I don't mean that you guys make stupid decisions and spend all your life savings to take this job venture that the odds of being successful are at 20%. I'm not saying that you should support things that don't necessarily make sense, but in your lack of support for a stupid decision, you still need to have a conversation and communicate with each other as to why you don't think it's a smart choice or decision or so forth. And that is still considered support. You guys have got to communicate and support one another in whatever it is that you're wanting to do, whether it be something that has to do with your career or opening your own business or new house or new car or whatever. Support each other and what you would like to do. Like I said, we are all separate individual people and we all started out that way. And you just happen to grow and develop relationship with others. But what most people seem to do is they seem to get in a relationship and then forget that they also are an individual in that relationship. You can still be yourself, but love someone else and share a life with them. I think that people also forget that marriage, to me, if you choose to go that route, marriage is supposed to be fun. Marriage is supposed to give you that freedom that you haven't had with anybody else. And I'm not even pro-marriage. I may never get married, and I have no issues with that. However, if I were to meet somebody that swept me off my feet and was willing to support me and be there for me and communicate with me and be honest with me and be faithful to me and have fun together and all of those things, then I would be all about it. I'm not anti, but I'm not pro. And everybody's different. But what I do suggest is figuring out what you consider healthy. What is healthy for you? If that means that, obviously respect, trust, honesty, all of those things, but if yours also includes, I cannot move out of the state of Texas, well, you need to be very upfront and honest with that when you're dating someone. Hey, just so you know, even if your job were to get up and say that they wanted you to move to California, I'm not going. And, if you do some of that communication early on, you won't run into big problems, at least not in regards to that, because the communication was already there. It's kind of the same thing as if you hear rumors about somebody that you're interested in, and you find out that not only has he cheated on every person he's ever been with, but he currently is still with the person he told you that he wasn't with. And then pictures get posted on social media, and then you bring it to their attention and try and put it on you like you did something. What? Like, people are very screwed up, man. People are screwed up. So, again, take your time to make the list of what you consider healthy and what is healthy for you and what your expectations would be for yourself in a relationship. And then if you get lucky enough to meet somebody that you want to date or potentially have a relationship with, then talk about your list. Have him make a list. We're too old now to be concerned about things that are not long-term. Back when we were really young, in our late teens, early 20s, we didn't have a whole lot of responsibility and we could get away with making really stupid decisions. And, that helped mold us into hopefully better adults. But that also means that we have more knowledge and we are supposed to be better people and we can do things how we want to. And it's your choice to choose what is right for you. And if someone can't give you what you feel is right for you, then on to the next one, or be single. It is okay to be single. But basically, my only advice is exactly what I just said. Find what's healthy for you, write it down, and if you are already in a relationship and you write down all of these things that you want from somebody and your person does not meet them, if you are married, I do suggest doing counseling or trying to at least communicate with them. Start a process to be able to build your relationship you already have. People are too quick to move on to the next thing either, and the grass isn't always greener, I promise. But that means that you have some unhealthy characteristics in your relationship that you need to address. If you're single, make a list for yourself and do what I said. If you decide that you want to date or you meet somebody that strikes your fancy, then you'll already have a list of what you're wanting from a relationship. And read it every day. And if you start seeing red flags that don't fall into your healthy category, then move on. You have no ties to anyone unless you have children or are already married. You don't have anything that's keeping you with an unhealthy relationship. So get out.